reaching beyond the borders into the unknown. Welcome to Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma.
Reaching beyond the borders into the unknown. Hello, everyone, and this is Paranormal Investigations of Oklahoma. And I am your host, Kel Epperson, and I'm here live with Harlen Bell, and we're going to be down at Bell's Mystical, and it's located on Santa Fe and Main Street in Norman. How's it going, Harlen?
Pretty good. How are you today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Wow, guys, I'm glad everyone's tuning in to the podcast. If you click the subscribe button down below on our YouTube channel, it'd be greatly appreciated. Also, we're on Facebook, so if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, you can always post down in the comment section. Well, we had an interesting time. July 26th, down in Medicine Park, we were down at the Tree of Life celebration. What a great time. It was hot, 100 degrees out. We didn't have a very big crowd down there, but the guest speakers, Harlem, you were down there.
Yes.
Gave a speech. We had Kathy Nance down there, the haunted chef. She talked about photography. If anyone missed the conference, guys missed out on quite a bit. Kathy Nance, she did speak on the photography subject, basically on pareidolia and matrixing in the photographs. Looking for anomalies and, looking for interesting things in photographs, checking your shutter speed. The biggest topics always when it comes down to photography is orbs, and people believe in orbs, so, they believe it's spiritual energy that is captured by photography. Most spiritualist teams are big on orbs. More scientific teams, they try to disprove, and which is what they're supposed to do. They consider orbs as nothing more than dust, water, moisture. Any weird anomalies could be something simple as your camera strap. Dee Parks was also down there. She is the co-founder of OPA. Martha Decker, she's an author and an investigator. She did a little speech there on interviewing clients, things to look out for. She also had her book for sale down there. Linda Mayers, the Reiki Master, she was down there. That was pretty awesome. It was a great time. After the conference, they did investigate the old Plantation Restaurant. Now, did they investigate the music hall as well?
Yes.
What are some of the things that were you able to go along on the investigation?
Yeah, there at the music hall, we actually were in the very front part of the music hall to start out. We were hearing, a few of us were hearing what sounded like roller skates going across the floor. And Dee was communicating with an entity there. It seemed like a young boy wanting her camera. I was snapping pictures while she was talking back and forth, and I happened to get that one picture. Dee was talking to some spirits in there, and I actually was taking pictures and got a little bit of video evidence that shows a possible anomaly while she was actually talking to it.
Well, it also looks like you got some interesting photographs. You got some multiple photographs. It's actually showing movement of the orb or the spiritual energy. And from looking at the photographs, it's kind of hard to tell what it is. I mean, it's a possibility. It could be dust. Now, when you do your investigations, you're more of a spiritualist, aren't you, than more than a scientific
Yes, I am.
Investigator?
Yes.
Just kind of FYI to the audience here that, there are different paranormal groups out there. There's more scientific teams and there's more spiritualist teams. And a lot is, based on your belief in how you want to focus on your studies with the paranormal. Now, I learned with going along with the scientific, you have to have the spiritual too, because looking back through, if you study religion, it all ties into the paranormal one way or another. And sometimes it's just best on how they tried to describe on something that's happening. Tell me what you do on investigations, Harlen. From kind of start to finish, and some of the things you look out for, and just kind of break it down on like what type of tools you use. Like I said, we are live here at Bell's Mystical. This is Harlem's shop, and he sells different things like sage. He has crystals, pendulums. A lot of this stuff can be used for ghost hunting. Now remember, for more of the spiritual side, but I want everyone to be open-minded. So I'll let Harlen kind of explain here what some of his tools are and some of the things he does when starting the investigation and kind of getting more into it.
Well, when I go out with this group, myself, I use a lot of pendulum and divination rods.
Those are like just the binding rods, aren't
Yes,
they?
yes.
Basic copper wiring. Just for the audience, if you don't know what those are just copper wires built in an L shape, bent in an L shape, and they're used to pick up spiritual energy.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and also the spirits will manipulate that or to answer their questions. Yes, no, and that's really all you can get out of that is a yes or no.
And basically, how the rods work is, when you're holding both rods up in front of you, and you don't hold tightly to them, you just hold them loosely in your hand. And the kind of blending the spiritual with the scientific is with the dowsing rods. When you get close to high EMF or near spiritual energy, like you're detecting the 9 volt, which is your hair standing up on end, that the rods will cross. And if you get further away from it, it'll spread apart. And it also works same way with the pendulum. The theory is the ghosts are able to move the pendulum either front and back, side to side, to answer yes and no questions. And with the dowsing rods, if it's yes, it's usually they will cross. If it's no, it'll separate. Now, one of my experiences with the dowsing rods is that you can have more than one spirit talking to you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, you can.
And the fun part is trying to focus your energy into the rods to determine, okay, the dowsing rod that's moving on the left by itself could be one spirit, and it could be another spirit on the right-hand side, plus the strength of how the rods are moving. And you can feel the pressure behind the rods moving to tell if how strong the entity really is.
Yes. And for myself, I mean, I usually feel the energy a lot myself. I'll feel energy, and then I'll know I need to start taking pictures. Also, I do see different things. I see shadow play. I see light figures. So it's like that. I know that on this investigation also, when we left and went up to the restaurant, and we went above on the upstairs, I actually had a spirit walk completely through me. That was, I felt this energy before. I mean, I've had it happen before in the past, and the energy, it's an energy rush. Very hot up there. It was the old brothel area. It's been run down, and they don't use it. So it's no air conditioning up there. It was extremely hot that night. It was I think it was after midnight, and I was up there standing in the middle of the hallway looking down the hall watching shadow play at the end of the hallway, and I had one come up behind me and actually felt my back get cold. It got very cold, and then my whole body got cold because it walked right through me.
Some people that may be listening in, they may not never been on a ghost investigation. They don't understand these feelings. Now, some people do have abilities to sense the paranormal more than others. I truthfully believe everybody has these abilities. They just need to kind of tune in more into them. I know when I go on an investigation, even though I'm more scientific, I can tell when there's something near me. Like the 9 volt, the feeling you get when your hair stands on end, that's usually a sign that the electromagnetic field is picking up some, that feeling of coldness. Mm-hmm. And one thing you mentioned that you felt the spirit go through you. Usually with those situations, some people get lightheaded, dizzy. It's kind of a weird sensation.
Yes,
it's like this big rush of energy. It just slams right into you, and your body, you get, like I said, lightheaded, dizzy.
It got right up to my backside. I felt the energy, and it paused. And then it was like a just step through. And so it was a rush of energy just all of a sudden, and I did get a little lightheaded, but I got that cold chill all the way through my body.
Yeah, and see, coldness, temperature drop is also a sign when spirits come around. On a scientific level, a lot of that stuff, if we're on an investigation and the investigator feels cool, we'll throw a thermal on them and see if there's a temperature drop. Because the theory is when ghosts are using energy, they can either use any type of energy. So they can be using your energy or the temperature in the air. They could draw energy from that, and the temperature drops because they're pulling that energy.
Right. And going back to the music hall, when we were sitting in the middle of the music hall, looking toward the stage, and we were conversing with what spirits were there. I was cold. They were hitting me with the thermometer. Our baseline temperature in the place was 72 degrees, and they were shooting it at my back because they kept coming to my back. They wouldn't come to my front, but they'd come up to my back. And my temperature was dropping anywhere from 65 down to 62 in a baseline setting of about 72.
Now, one thing to keep in mind during that investigation, the daytime temperatures hit 100 degrees.
Yes,
it was hot, and at night it was what, 80 degrees.
Yes, it was.
So for it to drop like that, that's pretty significant. Pretty awesome. I know the investigation I went on, we did have some temperature changes. It was a pretty wild night. The activity was high. We were seeing shadow movement. Some of the members were seeing apparitions, got disembodied voices. Everything you can picture that could happen, that you want to happen on a ghost investigation, happened to us.
Yes.
It was a pretty wild time. We used a spirit box, and for those that don't know, the spirit box is an SB7 spirit box, and it cycles through the stations at a very quick speed. And the theory is the ghosts are able to through the white noise. And we were getting clear hits. You could hear a man talking to somebody else. Through the sweeps, you can hear it, and you could hear that voice, that tone just carry over. We would ask questions like, what is your name? Can you say, my name is, then your name? And then on the spirit box, it said, my name is. That was very positive. We used the Ovilus. The Ovilus got very strong hits, too.
Yes. Before we even started the investigation, we were sitting at a table with the Ovilus, and it was spitting out random words. At least we thought they were random until later on in the investigation. But what I remember was one of the words being the writing on the wall. Writing, and then wall, what it said, writing.
Yeah, one thing that we had was one of the investigators, he was talking about one of the spirits is maybe from China. And the moment he mentioned anything about China, the Ovilus said Japan, and that again, it was like the ghost was correcting him, like, I'm not from China, I'm from Japan. We had several positive hits like that. It was a great night.
With that Ovilus, the third word that came out, and this was, like I said, it was random. At least we thought it was. And the people that were sitting there around that table, none of them had ever been to this place before, so none of them knew anything about it. The first word was writing, the second word was wall, and the next word was couch. Later on in the investigation, about an hour into the investigation, we wandered up to the stage and found a downstairs backstage room that just had writing all over the walls, where bands had signed their names all over the walls. Anybody that performed on the stage had signed on the walls. There was a couch in there. While we were down in that room, a couple of us were on the stage, and Dee was actually talking or channeling with one of the spirits there, and the spirit kept saying, "Get off my stage, you don't belong on my stage." That's where I took another series of photos and caught an orb. But the writing on the wall, I mean, that was just awesome to walk in there and find all this writing on the wall. And the couch, and then it was like, this wasn't random then. This was meant. It was meant for us to find that.
Some people, they may not know if they haven't visited your shop, is that you have a lot of spirits here.
Yeah,
We, and a lot of people listening, whatever. If you actually come here to Bell's Mystical, and like I say, it's off Santa Fe and Main Street in Norman, they do have visitations. I've been here before. I've asked you several times, who do you have in the back? Well, there's no one here. People do see apparitions here, see shadow movement. We even came in here before with our tools. We have ghost meters, gauze meters, and have responses off of them, responses off the Ovilus. So there's not a lot of places you can go to where you actually get a lot of spiritual activity. Let's see, the building here, was made in the 60s?
I believe this building was. But, I found that spirits like to follow high energy. Where there's high energy, they like to be there.
Yes.
There's high energy here, so they do tend to congregate. The room that I use back there for my healing and readings and psychic work that room back there, at times I've had people come in and say they're smoking in my room or they're partying. I can be off in another room and hear music in my room, and there's no music whatsoever. And it's after hours and nobody's in the building or the building next door. So it's like they're having a party in my workroom, you know.
Now, for the audience listening in, I challenge, if you're listening to this broadcast, because like I say, it's going to be live and it's raw, if you do hear EVPs, because like right now, we may not be able to hear anything. So if you actually hear an EVP, put it down. Note it down in the comment section below, either on YouTube or on Facebook, and say, hey, Cale, at such and such time on your recording, we did hear an EVP as something responding back to you guys. So it was an exciting weekend. I tell you what, it was very exciting, ghost hunter wise. It was great. So tell me, Harlem, about what you spoke about at the conference. Some of the things that, not to have you rehearse your speech or anything, but just kind of, in case people didn't get a chance to go to the conference and was what they missed out on.
Well, what I talked about at the conference was cleansing not just your home, but your personal space, your car, your personal energy, your aura. Cleansings, different ways of doing cleansings. Getting rid of the negative energies, because not every energy that a person feels is connected to a spirit. It could be just somebody's residuals that they left behind from such a negative comment that they'd made just a few minutes ago, because those energies do tend to cling to you. So it's a good thing to always cleanse.
So it attacks itself to the environment itself,
right?
To the walls, to the building
to the building itself.
Yeah.
So, and I went over a number of different ways that you can cleanse a building or your personal space, your house, your car, other things. I went into a number of different ways you could do cleansings. Everything from using smudge sticks, which is the sage, and there's a lot of different varieties of sage you can use. I tend to use, when I use sage, I use the California white sage the most. That is the most commonly used. But there's a number of things that you can use. There's a lot of different herbs that can be used, and I talked about a lot of different herbs that you use that have multi-purposes. Some are for protection, some are for cleansing, some do both. And those herbs can be used. Now, if you come into a place and you find you have a very nasty type of spirit that's really causing problems to people and scratching and hitting and pushing and shoving, and you want it to be gone, that's when you break out the big guns. That's when you pull out different herbs that could be used. Solomon's seal is one of the best ones for getting rid of unwanted. Solomon's seal, elderflower. Cedar is always good. Cedar is one that the Native Americans use the most for getting rid of any kind of major negative energies.
And a lot depends on your religious belief as well.
It does.
Just let the audience know, like I said before, every religion ties into the paranormal. And if you do have something in your home, I've always heard and always recommend, if you need any type of cleansing, any type of blessing on the home to get rid of spirits, follow whatever your religious belief is. We're not saying you have to follow this.
Right.
If you're Christian based, don't hesitate to have a pastor or priest come in and pray for you. Priests, they can cleanse the home as well, and they can bless it to get rid of unwanted spirits. And every religion's different. Doesn't matter. I'm Native American. People in my family that they will smudge using sage and such items. Of course, I got family members that are Christian. It all depends on your religious belief. And like I said, I want everyone to be open-minded when they listen to the broadcast. I always emphasize that. Whatever your religious belief is, kind of how we go with it.
Right. And the thing is I am an ordained minister. I am a priest. And, I don't just stay to one religion's belief. I mean, I can go in and cleanse a place for anybody under any belief system to what they believe. I've been doing this for a lot of years. I was actually, I had a lot of spirit encounters when I was younger. I actually had to have a priest come in and do an exorcism on myself. The energies have always came toward me. Spirits have always come to me. So it's kind of, for me, when I walk into a place, I assess it. I assess the energies. I walk through. I feel what I feel. It may be as light as like the 9-volt charge, like Kel was talking about, the hair raising on my arms. That's a good telltale sign, but that's not the biggest sign. When I'm walking through and I feel that, and then all of a sudden my arm gets cold too, I know it has something to do with spiritual activity. If I get chills down the back of my neck while my arm is getting cold, for me the chills down the neck tend to go right to my core. When it goes right to my core, then I know that it's a negative energy. That's when I change up my plan on what I'm going to do. When I go to cleanse a house, and any religious belief you believe in, they're all saying counterclockwise is to be rid of something, and clockwise is to bless. A lot of people make the mistake. They think, oh, well, I can cleanse my house. I know how to do that. I don't need a priest. I don't need anybody. And then they get their sage and they start cleansing, and they go clockwise. And all they do are just blessing what's there in the house to be there in the house. They're not moving anything along.
Well, I actually watched and did some research on holy water. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't realize with holy water, when they make holy water, they have to do an exorcism mm-hmm. on the materials being used, and then they have to bless it. And people are like, exorcism? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the removal of something. Right. So if there's anything negative, that's all exorcism means, is you're removing something. So you're removing mm-hmm. whatever's negative, and then after you remove that negative, mm-hmm. then you positively enforce it and bless it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, now the thing is about holy water, I collect my own every year. Once a year I go out in the end of the summer. As a matter of fact, I haven't been there yet, but I will be going there sometime in the next month. But I go out to Romano State Park where the cold springs are, and I do a complete and total healing on myself. I am a healer. So I give offering to the gods, to the earth. We pull some of my hair out. I give some food as offering. I drop it along the trail so that some of the animals along the trail will get to eat something, So I'm giving offering. And then I go to the cold spring and I lay down in it and I heal my body. This cold spring is about 48 degrees coming right up from the depths of the earth. The purest water you can get is coming as an artesian up from the earth. That's one of the best things to start with for holy water. So I usually gather a couple of gallons of that a year. When I get it home, then I go ahead and I work on it. I leave it in the sunlight for one day. I leave it in the moonlight for one night, and then I bring it in. And leaving it in the sunlight and the moonlight is actually cleaning the water, cleaning any of the impurities and whatnot out of it. That's letting an energy higher than myself do the cleansing. Of course, you put the intent out there when you set it out there. So I put an intent. I want this water cleansed, and I'm asking for the help of the sun and the moon. The energies of the sun and the moon help cleanse everything. They're a positive force. So they take any of the negativity away from the water, and then it's a blessed water once I get it into my possession after that, and I bless it.
And it's one thing for the audience to see also, as they're starting to probably notice that every religion is starting to show that it taps into the paranormal, because you have a pagan viewpoint mm-hmm. on holy water, and there's a Christian point mm-hmm. on holy water, and the Native Americans have mm-hmm. Holy water as well. So it all taps in together one way or another.
And I incorporate all three of those into that, because when I go to actually collect the water, I do the Native American. I give offering. I give something of myself, and then I make sure I cleanse myself before I take anything. I only take just as much as I need for the whole year. Then when I get it home, I use the pagan aspect of actually cleansing the water. And then I use the Christian aspect of blessing the water. So it's using all three, and that's part of being a spiritualist, is you have to be open to everything, not just one thing. When you have blinders on, that's all you see is just that one narrow path, And so I try to incorporate everything I can. I also ask for help from the ascended masters, the archangels, any of those. Prayer and meditation is another good way to help cleanse yourself, your house, your areas. If you can't handle smoke when you're doing a smudging in the house, you can't do a smudging, so you use the holy water. Holy water is used the same way as the smudge is. You start at a central location at your front door, and you go counterclockwise, sprinkling the holy water along the walls, counterclockwise through the house, and you pay close attention to corners and anywhere where there's dark, and you just throw that holy water in there with your hands. And it does the same thing that the smudge will do. It's all in intent. It's all in what you put out there. Sometimes I go through the house and I chant as I'm doing it. Sometimes I don't. Sometimes I keep it to myself. But I'm always doing something to help move along energies.
Now, if anyone that hasn't visited the store, you got several different religious belief stuff that you sell here. One thing that Bell's Mystical, they're, kind of another plug for the store here, but they sell everything for every religious belief. So you have crosses, if you're into paganism, or it doesn't matter what your religious belief is, you pretty much, if it's spiritual, you sell it here, don't you?
Yes. And if I don't have it here on hand, I can get it. It doesn't take me very long.
Yeah.
Garlic. Garlic is another thing. You know how they've talked about garlic for years and years of warding off vampires. Well, garlic is a good thing to put into a necklace. You can wear that yourself. That's an item of protection. The American pepper seed, that's another. So any of those, there's stones. You can use stones. There's some self-cleansing stones like cat's eye, which you wear. Mm-hmm. There's this blue kyanite. Blue kyanite is a self-cleansing stone. There's a number of different stones that can be used that help keep you protected and stay cleansed without having to cleanse them on a regular basis. Sea salt. Sea salt is another thing. And besides holy water, you can use anything from rainwater. You can use water that comes up from the depths of the earth. You can use salt water. So when you're using the holy water, you want to pay close attention to closets, doorways, basements, attics, any kind of corners. It's always good to do the outside of the house, also the yard, the perimeter of the yard. The whole idea is once you've gone through the house and come completely full circle back to the front door, you should feel a sense of relief. You should feel a change in the energy field. You should change. It should change a whole lot of different aspects. You should be able to feel everything is getting better. That's when I would automatically start going clockwise through the house to bless whatever's left.
Because you can feel the environment change. Most times if it's something negative, like a negative spirits, people always claim that there's a heaviness in the home. It feels heavy. The air feels thick. And I've been on investigations like that where I may go into a room and I can feel the tension in the air. You walk in, the air just is thicker, and it's obvious there's something in there that doesn't want you to be in there. And once you cleanse the home, that it's gone. It's completely lifted out. And the reason being is because you move that negative energy, that spirit. You pretty much forced it out the house.
Right. And the thing is a lot of people don't really know where to get holy water or things. You can go to your Catholic church and ask, because the Catholics still use it for protection from ghosts or evil in general. And they have holy water on hand at all times. So you can go to a Catholic church and ask them for that, and they'll give it to you.
Well, they could probably come here, couldn't they?
And they could come here, yeah.
Yeah.
And myself, the thing is you can go to another priest anywhere that would be willing to do it. Myself, I get it. I go out and collect it in its form and cleanse it, bless it, and it's ready to go. So you can get it here. Now, as for using salt, sea salt, you want to bless your sea salt also. The best way to cleanse and bless your sea salt is put it in a bowl in the windowsill and let the moonlight cleanse it. and then bring it in and bless it. So, the moonlight has a lot of power. The moon has a lot of power. It moves the oceans. It moves our bodies. Our bodies are 8% water. So the moon moves more than just the ocean. It moves us. It has a lot of energy and a lot of power. So when you want to cleanse something, the moonlight is one of the best ways to cleanse.
Now, don't you even use charms and amulets? Right now, you guys made me a cat's eye pendant, and it's got an arrowhead because I am Native American, and it's got some other stones and stuff on it. Tell me how amulets and charms help out with your investigations and how you use it for protection.
Well, just using yours for example, the cat's eye is a stone that works for a number of different things, but it is one that will actually transmute negativity into positive energy. So it's one of those stones that does not have to be cleansed. You can cleanse it if you want to, but it's a self-cleansing stone. It'll pull in the negative energy and turn it into a positive and radiate the positive back out. Arrowhead. The arrowhead is the Indians. It's a protection. That's what the Indians look at that as. It's a all-around protection. It's a protection that comes from the Great Spirit. So it's always an honor to be given a arrowhead from somebody also. It's a gift from the gods. Other stones that can be used, there's a lot of different stones that can be used. But as for amulets, there's a number of different amulets you can use too. There's lucky charms, there's protectors, there's certain spiritual traditions that use different charms, different amulets, or you can make your own. The thing is making your protection amulet is probably, I think, the best way to do it, because it comes with your intention. You are the maker of it. You are the one that protects yourself. It comes from inside. And a lot of people would probably tend to disagree with me on that, but that's okay. The way I believe today is...
And it's one of those deals, everybody has different religious beliefs, and what works for you may not work for somebody else. A lot of it boils down to your energy, doesn't it?
It does.
Because I may go in and cleanse at home, and it may be differently how you do it. I've known team leaders, ghost hunter team leaders, and different groups, when they do cleansings, everybody does it differently.
Right.
My recommendation is always do research. Do study on it. Don't just grab a pot, throw some grass in it, and start walking around your home saying, ooh, abby dobby dobby, I want to clear out the ghost.
Right.
Because it doesn't work that way, does it?
No. When you visualize something with your mind's eye, that's where you create the power of protection. Visualizing that what you're making with your own hands and your own energy as a protection, as an ultimate protection, and you're visualizing it with your mind's eye, that is the most powerful energy you can use. So when I make a piece for protection, even though it may be a piece that's a stone or something that changes negative into positive, I still put the intent into it as I'm working with it. The intent is this is for protection. For protection of whatever individual is going to be wearing this. Spiritual protection. So it's a spiritual shield, and it's done with the mind's eye and the energy.
It can backfire on you, too. If you're trying to do something and you got something negative on your mind, maybe you're having a rough day, then you're going to go in and do a cleansing. You may have an opposite effect of what you're trying to do.
And that's why I do a lot of meditation. I will not go out to do a cleansing of a house if I am in a negative state or a negative sense. If I don't feel right, I will not go. I will reschedule. So that's an internal thing too. You need to stay completely focused on what you're doing when you go in to do these things. You shouldn't have any doubt or any self-doubt or any kind of fear at all, because the fear is self-doubt. The only thing that I fear when I go out to do anything would be myself. So I try not to even do that. I keep myself centered with meditation.
But there's other ways of cleansing as well. Sound, for example, can be used for cleansing. You got any examples how sound can be used for cleansing and blessing?
Well, these Tibetan singing bowls I have in front of me, those are very good for actually cleansing areas, cleansing not just the areas, but also your amulets, your stones, your aura, a number of different things. Helps you line your chakras. Sound is an awesome thing. And I'll go ahead. This one here is a cast aluminum that is a tone of an E. And there's a number of different things you can do. You can use it as a bell, or you can just go ahead and use it as it was meant to be used and rub it with the stick, and you get a very high pitch. And when you put something into that, such as a stone.
And what we're going to do right now, I'm going to drop my amulets, and I just recently got a salt crystal from a friend. She's from Israel, and it's actually from the Dead Sea. I'm going to bring it in and have him bless it for me.
You got to make sure that nothing is actually touching the edge of your bowl, or it won't sing. And just start rubbing the bowl.
Now, how do you think that the sound and the ringing, how do you think it affects the spirits? Is it the vibration or just the sound itself that affects the negative spirits?
You know, it is the vibration and the sound, I do believe. I know that when I'm needing some insight or some cleansing of my own personal space, and I use a bowl, it's more than just the vibration. I feel the vibration all the way through my body, but the sound also pierces. It goes right into the core. Depending on which note it is, depends on where it touches you in your chakras.
Now, I've been on ghost investigations where they actually use these bowls. Some positive and some negative responses, but I've seen them used. I myself have never been out in the field and actually used one of these bowls to see if we got any positive or negative responses.
Now this is actually using the vibration and the sound to change the energy in the amulet and the stones.
Now the rattling that you're hearing is actually the stones on the inside.
Yes.
But that kind of gives you an example of the sound. Now besides sound and using like singing bowls and bells. Now I've heard people using bells before to help for cleansing and blessing.
Mm-hmm.
But you can also use different types of oils.
Yes.
Can you tell us about some of the oils and stuff and how those are used in the paranormal field?
Well, every oil has numerous things that they're used for, and I've got a list here in front of me that I can give you kind of a breakdown. Sandalwood is one of them that's used quite regularly. It's a spirituality oil. It's for self-healing. It can help ward off disease, other things. But the anise, star of anise oil is what it is. And that helps increase clairvoyance. It helps with protection, purification, and it'll help purify an area, which is a cleansing, same thing.
The oils, they're used similar to like holy water.
Yes.
Because I've been in different churches. Some people will use the holy water for blessings, but I also seen them use oils.
Yes.
Olive oil and different types of oil, almond oil.
Rose oil is one that most churches or most priests will use. Is the rose oil, rose absolute. Rose oil is a good blessing oil. Matter of fact, I use it a lot myself.
And it works the same way. I mean, you're basically removing the negative and then blessing it, similar to holy water.
Yes. So frankincense oil is another one that's very highly used. It's used for used in spirituality. It's used for exorcisms. It's used for purification, protection. It's also used in luck. So I mean, there's a number of different oils that you can use. As for not just the oils either, dragon's blood oil is a very good one for exorcisms and protection rituals, but you can also use not just the oils, but you can use the so you have the frankincense resin, you have the myrrh resin. Myrrh is another highly used oil or resin that you can use for cleansings. Those are the sweet myrrh is actually good for ridding evil spirits, any kind of very negative energies. They even talk about psychic vampires. I don't believe too much in that, but that's a whole nother show.
Yeah, that's definitely another show. Um, but yeah, these are very interesting facts. What people don't know is, you guys have training classes down here at Bell's Mystical. And just recently, when I walked in, I noticed you had different courses about, using your abilities.
Mm-hmm.
And, I'm sure you probably teach stuff on what you just talked about today.
Right. And, I do the energy healing also, and I work with people. Anytime somebody comes in for some energy work, they're being attuned. Whether they're coming in willingly wanting to get better or get their chakras in line or straighten their energy out. But every time there's an energy exchange between a master and a pupil, which anybody that a master would be laying hands on, they are actually gaining that knowledge through the energy, through the touch, and they're able to do those same things. So it's passing on the wisdom that's been handed down. And that's one of the things that we try to do here is we try to pass on what's been given to us. Like our course on that's going to be happening tonight. We do it every Thursday night, and that is like card reading 101. It's learning how to divine using playing cards or using your tarot or using the oracle cards. Listening to what the spirit around you, some would call it the Holy Spirit, some would call it God, some would call it ascended masters or archangels, what they have to say, and they usually lay it out in the cards. So there's a number of different classes we do, and those are all done on love donations. You come in, you sit down, you bring your cards, you bring a pen and paper, you learn, you ask questions, and when it's all said and done, it's just a donation to the store. If you feel like you've learned something and you feel like it was worth something, throw a donation out. But donations are not expected. That's part of giving back what's been given. That's what the spirituality and the spiritual side of it's all about, is trying to help others.
And like I said, if they come in here, they may see an apparition or ghost, or may have an experience on their own, because you do have activity here. When we used our paranormal devices, we did pick up some stuff. The obelisk would go off. Now, the funny part about it, folks, I can have the obelisk going. I can ask, well, who is Harlem? Can you tell me who Harlem is? And the obelisk always says Bishop, Reverend. And those are positive hits.
Yeah. Now, I do periodic cleansings of the store because I get so many different energies that come in here on a day-to-day basis. I try to do cleansings of the store on a regular basis. And it was last week, the week before last, I came in and I did a thorough cleansing of the store. And as I cleared each room, I laid down a heavy band of sea salt. And as we came back in, nobody had come across that threshold, but as we got done with the cleansing, we saw where something had stepped in one of the thresholds and actually moved one bit of that salt like a footstep and laid it down in the hallway in just one little spot. And what I get from that is it was an ascended master or a higher level being that stayed behind, because when you cleanse a space, you're cleansing the negative energies or the earthbounds to move over, to go ahead and cross over, or to move along out of the way. Any malevolent energies that you want to move along and get out of the space. The malevolent energies stay. Those higher energies that are malevolent, that are here to help, they're still here. So the day after that cleansing, I walked in here. I was the only one in the building. It was a Saturday morning. None of the other offices were here. And I had just got done setting everything up, and I walked to the hallway and I looked up and I saw a white apparition that stood about 6 foot, a really big apparition in the hallway. And that was right in the same spot where we found
Well, don't people have claims here that I think it's the women's restroom here?
The women's restroom.
The women they feel like they're being watched, hear noises, and the water will turn itself on and off.
The thing is that night we did cleanse the women's restroom, and the women have not had any problems with that.
So, there's a lot of different places where, I'm sure that the audience is listening right now wondering, okay, I want to buy some of this stuff. And like I said, there's probably several different places you can go. But I do recommend coming here to Bell's. You do have the cleansing shells. What type of shells are those again?
Abalone.
Oh, awesome. And, you can put your stones in there or your sage to burn. You sell the sage here?
Yes. The thing about the abalone, you don't want to just use any kind of shell because abalone is actually considered a stone. All of the other shells are not considered stone. And regular shells, when you put a hot coal in it, they're liable to break on you. They're liable to shatter while you're doing it. Now, the abalone is considered a stone, and it's a stone that has all of the colors of the 7 chakras. So it's a good one for not just doing your spiritual work, but it's because it's got all 7 colors in it. It's a good spiritual stone.
And you also have the fans, and these are homemade. Now, for everyone, when you visit Bell's Mystical, a lot of your stuff is homemade. And you have the fans, for example, are homemade. Jewelry that's homemade. And you do have local artists that come in and sell some of their items, don't you?
Yes, and also the essential oils. I hand blend all the essential oils myself, make the bath salts, make some healing salts, make the incense. So there's a number of different handmade items, and the thing about making stuff by hand, you're putting your energy into those things. When I sit down to make something, I make sure I'm in a positive state of mind and a positive frame. I don't sit down to do anything when I'm feeling yuck or when I'm feeling negativity about me. I will go and meditate and cleanse myself before I mess with anything that I'm making. That's to keep the positive energies in there. People come in here. I've had people come in and say, I ask them how they're doing, and they say better now, because they just walked through the door and the energies are what they came for, which is not a bad thing.
Well, Harlen, I'd like to thank you for being on the show. Just let the audience know, like I said, if you want to visit his store, it's going to be located off of Santa Fe and Main Street in Norman, and just come knock on the door. Mm-hmm. You do have other readers here. Your wife is a reader.
Yes.
Leslie Draper, the Bible Belt Mystic, she's here, so you can come in and say hi to her. A lot of great people that work here, and just kind of pass along just for future updates. The only other paranormal conference right now that I know is coming up is Parapalooza, and that's September 5th, 6th, and 7th. That's going to be hosted by Midnight Paranormal. It's going to be in Guthrie. It's going to be a campfire-style paranormal conference. Mm-hmm. It's still in the works. The group's still trying to get locations and investigative points. And it's going to be kind of a smaller conference. And most conferences like the last one we went to, the crowd sits and listens to a guest speaker. And I think how we're going to really do this is kind of like to sit around the old campfire and talk about our experiences and different theories that we have. So it should be a great time. I'm hoping some big names get to come out there and visit. I'll be out there.
Mention something else. We are still at this location for another month and a half or so. We are looking for another location. If you'd like to find us after this location, you can find us on Facebook at Bell's Mystical Beginnings on Facebook, or you can send me a message at bellsmysticalbeginnings.com. We're really not sure where we're going to be moving as of yet. There's a couple of locations we're looking at right now, but our lease is up in September, so we will be here until September, and we will be somewhere else come that time. I'm sure that once I find a location, Kel here will go ahead and announce it for you.
Alrighty, I'm glad that everyone tuned in. Like I said, if you're interested in Bell's Mystical and want to visit the store, just pop in and say hello to those guys. Well, folks, I'm glad if you all tuned in to this live broadcast at Bell's Mystical. Again, I'm here with Harlen Bell. It was great for you allowing me inside the store and to talk with you. Like I said, if you get a chance, folks, If you're watching this on YouTube, just hit the subscribe button down at the bottom. Like me on Facebook, and I'll talk to you folks later.